Gabriel. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. My name is Karen Boyd, and I'm a senior psych major at Youngstown State University, and I'm also an employee relations minor, which is kind of why I'm talking to you today about human resources. I understand that you do have a job in that field,
Yeah.
the Cleveland Metropolitan School District.
Yep.
Because HR is a field that I want to get into, I was wondering if you would give me some insight of your job and how you got there.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with how I got there. So I played soccer in college for all 4 years, so I never really had the opportunity to really take an internship or have an internship, during the school year. But, once my senior year was, my senior year in fall was done, I was kind of done with soccer. I wanted to take the opportunity, to go ahead and get that internship and get, business experience. So that's where I started applying for jobs in early or late fall, so around that October, November time, and then I was lucky enough to land an internship with cmst. And what was your second question?
Um, well, so how you got there was the first one. What did
Yeah.
you went to Cleveland State?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your major and your minor?
So I didn't have a minor, but my major was business management and labor relations with a focus in HR. So I didn't necessarily, have HR as my major, but I took, human resource management. I had an employee relations course. I did labor law, employment law, and things like that. So I had, extensive HR class background. Yeah.
Okay. Um, that's weird. They make us like have a minor, or at
Oh,
least my like college. I don't know if it's like that for everybody, but I had to choose a minor. Um, but what made you want to go into HR? I mean, I know your business was had a focus in human resource, but what made you choose that route specifically?
yeah. Honestly, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do at first. I was kind of up in the air, but I always knew pre that I was good with dealing with people. I was good at solving problems between people and having solving conflicts between people. So, as I kept going throughout classes and taking my gen eds and things, I was like, well, HR could be a good field for me, especially employee relations. And I haven't so much gotten into that yet, but just the field in HR and learning about it and what I'm doing now, I'm more of in recruiting and payroll right now, but a lot of it is still dealing with people and solving problems internally. So that's why I chose it.
Mm, Okay, so you said you work in recruiting and payroll. So what what are your tasks? Like, what do you do on a daily day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so the first, I would say for the first, I would say like 6 months or 7 months of my internship where I started. I was more in recruiting, so I had a third of all the teaching applications that came into CMSD. So I would go through, I would check and make sure that each teacher had their license, it was up to date. I'd go through and look at their written screen, see if score them on that. I would call them on the phone and have a phone conversation with them. And then based on, that stuff, I would bring them into the office and have an in-person interview with them. So I was kind of like the first half of the process. And then our principals do more of the, the hiring of actually hiring the teachers. But, I was just kind of the first half of the process. So I got to, interview experience and things like that. And now I've transitioned more into payroll. So now I'm working in the substitute center, and now that's just consists of going through and making sure that subs are getting paid correctly. So our systems, we have two systems. One's called Workday and one's called SmartFind. And they're supposed to work cohesively, but right now we've had a lot of problems with those. So I have to go in and manually change a lot of things. So that's what I'm just kind of in the process of doing now.
Okay, given like this isn't one of the questions I have, but it made me think of like what's going on right now. Since you work in the school district, are you working remotely or are you like in?
Yes, so we've been remote since my fault. We've been remote since about early March or middle of March, once kind of all the stuff with COVID happened. So yeah, we've been remote since early March. And then and as far as schooling, they started as remote as well. So schools are completely remote right now. And then around, I think, December is when we might go to a hybrid, and it might be a little bit in person, a little bit still remote. So yeah.
Okay. Um, working from home. I was gonna ask what your work
Ooh, I
environment.
can't hear you.
You work from home, so I guess your work environment is very homely. Is it more comfortable? Are you more comfortable working at home? Like,
Wait, what'd you say? I didn't hear you.
oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
good. Ooh, I thought I lost it. Since you work from home, like, is it more comfortable working from home? I would assume, or would you rather
um,
the school setting working with like your
I would
coach?
say I would say yes. Of course, it's more comfortable being at home. You know, I like being at home. It's more, of course, it's my house, so I'm more comfortable here. But you know, the office was cool as well. It was definitely a transition, though. You know, working in the office, you know, you feel a little bit more focused. You know, your work's right in front of you, so it's like I'm working. I might as well just work, and people are looking at you working. So it's like I can't just slouch. So then the transition when you know work from home, it's kind of like, oh, well, now I can just kind of lounge. I can throw on a TV. I can be in bed and do this. But then at the end of the day, you know, you kind of get used to it. And then you say, okay, well, I still have to work. I still have projects that need to be done. I can't really slack off. So, you know, for that first week or two, you know, you kind of a little as the days go with projects and kind of lay back. But after that, you know, it kind of gets back to just grind mode, and then you just work from there on out.
I understand this online schooling, school from home. It's hard for me because it takes discipline, and I
Yeah,
just
no, it does. It takes a lot of discipline. Like I'll be the first to admit it. The first couple of weeks, I was chilling. Like I was, I was really chilling. But regardless of where you are, the work has to get done.
right.
And I have a responsibility to you know the school district, to the kids, to myself to you know get the work done. So yeah,
Well, since you do work, or do you find any negatives in that? I mean, we've talked over how you can find yourself being lazy. I guess
yeah.
are there any negatives of the job, not so much working from home, or any
Um,
challenges that you face.
of the job, I would say for me, not necessarily a negative. I'll just say it's a challenge.
Mhm.
Since I've kind of been changing roles and I change roles from home, and especially like with payroll, it's something that you really can't mess with too much because it's people's money. You know, people want to get paid on time. So one of the challenges was just learning via you know Zoom and you know we used WebEx and Cisco and Teams and stuff. So kind of one of the challenges with me was just learning all these new systems and programs over Zoom and not really being able to have someone hands on and right next to me like, nope, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. It's like, oh, I have to share my screen and then you try it on your screen and then you share your screen. It's just like a whole bunch of back and forth. But so I would say that's definitely one of the challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people aren't tech savvy. Would be a little. I can see that being a challenge. Um, let's see. Do you have any suggestions for me looking for a job? I know you mentioned that you were looking into internships in like late fall before graduation.
Yeah. Hmm.
I guess that would be now for me because I graduate in the spring. But other than that, would you
Any
any
like
other suggestions? Searching for a job.
searching for a job. Like in terms of like interviewing or just like just looking for a job.
Well, hopefully my interviewing course that I'm doing this assignment for will help me with that. But
Yeah.
in terms of like, did you apply where you live, or did you apply like out of state? Like, did you? How many places did you apply to?
Well, I applied to a decent. I would say I applied to probably about 5 or 6 places, all just local. But it honestly it depends on you. If you want to stay in Youngstown, I'm sure there are opportunities in Youngstown. You know, if you want to come to Cleveland, there are opportunities in Cleveland. If you want to go to Pittsburgh, you know, Columbus, there are opportunities everywhere. Especially with HR, you know, it's one of those fields where it's kind of irreplaceable. You know,
Right.
you're always going to need HR, and that's also another reason I chose it. Is like I started off as an intern, right? And I started off as an intern. As an intern, I was able to work from home. Now, you probably know a whole bunch of people who had internships that were planned for this summer that ended up getting canceled because of COVID. Yet I'm still an intern, and I'm lucky enough to still have a job and be working from home. So
Mhm.
it's kind of one of those things where it's you know it's all up to your preference. If you want to get out of here and go somewhere else and experience something else, go ahead. But at the same time, it's perfectly fine to just stay where you're at and try to look for opportunities there.
Yeah. My goal is to get out of Youngstown. I just
No, I want to get out of
city,
Cleveland
but
too.
I kind of want to like explore out, get out. Well, I appreciate this was very insightful for me. Was there anything that you wanted me to know that I didn't touch upon that I missed out on? Like
Mhm.
things you're like you really should know this.
Nah, it's kind of a learn as you go. Like even for me, I've learned a lot as I've gone. Just as I progress, and every day I'm learning stuff every single day. Even today, I just learned something new on smartphone. I'm learning things on Excel. So I would say like don't get discouraged by, especially when you're applying for jobs. I would say this: don't get discouraged by like the requirements and, oh, you have to have 2 years of experience in this degree and that. Like don't follow that. I would you have to follow to a certain extent, because of course some jobs are more, you have to have more experience than other jobs. But some jobs, like, don't be scared, don't be scared to apply just because, I'm a young kid. I end up getting a position and I'm able to just move forward and go through it. So don't get scared by like the requirements and things like that. Just go ahead and apply. And they like, they like young people fresh out of college. They do, honestly, with good work ethics and a little bit of experience. They like that. So I would say just don't be discouraged by, the requirements and, oh, this and that and the third. And also don't be scared about tech necessarily the technical requirements. Like being in HR, you're gonna have to know Excel a little bit. You know what I mean? And I suck at Excel. Like I'm learning Excel as I go now. And I know a lot of people are talking about, oh, like I don't know Excel and you have to know Excel and this and the third. Like, no, they'll teach you as you go. They're willing to work with you, especially because you're young. So yeah, I would say just don't be afraid to, reach out there and make connections and apply for jobs necessarily that you might not have the experience for, but you're to say you're willing to, learn, and if you're coachable and teachable, it'll take you a long way.
Well, I appreciate all of this.
No
I
problem.
didn't take up too much of your time. I hope. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this for me.
No problem.
Um, well, that's all I have for you. Again, I
All right.
thank you and I appreciate you for this. And have a good day.
All right, you too.